Welcome to Stamps Old World UK, where we explore the incredible stories, art, and hidden wealth behind the world's most historic postage stamps. Today, we're looking at one of the classics, the 3-cent Washington, and breaking down why this small piece of paper can command such big money in today's collector market. The 3-cent Washington stamp holds a special place in American postal history. It features a detailed portrait of George Washington in profile, surrounded by ornate engravings and printed in shades of green or rose, depending on the issue year. It was part of the mid-19th century series that revolutionized the way America handled mail. But what truly makes it fascinating today is how much collectors are willing to pay for it, depending on its condition, rarity, and type. In today's market, a common used version from later reprints might sell for just a few dollars, usually between $20,000 and $25,000, depending on how clean and centered it is. But if you happen to have the earlier 1857 to 1861 issue in mint condition, unused with original gum, the price can skyrocket to around $60,750, or even higher for perfectly centered and certified examples. Rare color variations, such as deep rose or dull red shades, can push the value beyond $2,000, especially when accompanied by expert authentication papers from top philatelic organizations. Now, what makes a stamp like this so valuable? There are several key factors every collector or beginner should know. First, age. Older stamps, especially those issued before 1900, tend to be more desirable. Second, rarity. Some printings had limited runs or were quickly replaced, making surviving examples scarce. Third, condition. A stamp's centering, perforations, gum, and color freshness dramatically affect its worth. A stamp with clean margins, no tears, no creases, and bright color can sell for 10 or even 20 times more than a damaged copy. Fourth, demand. The popularity of George Washington and classic U.S. issues keeps the demand high among global collectors. If you're curious whether your 3-cent Washington is the valuable kind, start by examining the paper type, watermark, and perforation details. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the lines around Washington's portrait. You can also compare your stamp with images from professional catalogs, like the Scott catalog or Stanley Gibbons listings. If your stamp matches the 1857 perforated issue and remains unused, it's definitely worth having it appraised. The stamp market today is thriving more than ever, with collectors turning to online auctions and specialized dealers. Sites like eBay, HipStamp, and Heritage Auctions regularly list these 3-cent Washington stamps with sale prices depending heavily on grading and certification. A professional grading service can boost your stamp's sale price by verifying authenticity and quality.
Next up, the 3-cent Lincoln stamp was issued in the early 1920s, most notably between 1923 and 1926, as part of the U.S. Regular Issue series. It features a powerful engraved portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, printed in a rich violet or purple color. This design captured Lincoln's calm but determined expression and quickly became one of the most recognizable stamps in American philately. During its original release, millions of these stamps were printed and used for everyday mail. But like most collectibles, it's not just about age, it's about condition, rarity, and demand. Let's talk about value. For a typical used 3-cent Lincoln stamp, you might see prices ranging from $10,000 to $15,000, depending on how clean and centered it is. However, if your stamp is in mint condition, meaning it has never been used, retains full original gum, and has no creases, tears, or discoloration, then you might be looking at something far more valuable. High-grade, perfectly centered examples, certified by professional grading services, have been known to sell for $40,000 to $62,000, and in rare cases, even higher at auction. What exactly makes one Lincoln stamp worth thousands while another is barely worth a cup of coffee? It all comes down to 5 key factors. First, condition. The stamp's surface must be clean, bright, and undamaged, with all perforations intact. Even a small tear can drastically reduce value. Second, centering. Collectors prize stamps where the portrait and design are perfectly balanced between the edges. Poorly centered stamps are much less valuable. Third, gum. For unused stamps, the presence of original, undisturbed gum on the back is critical. Once the gum is damaged or missing, value decreases. Fourth, rarity. While many 3-cent Lincolns were printed, certain printing variations, perforation differences, or early production batches are harder to find, increasing demand. Fifth, certification. Stamps graded and authenticated by professional organizations like the Philatelic Foundation or PSE often sell for significantly more because buyers trust the condition and authenticity. If you have one of these stamps, take a close look under good lighting or with a magnifying glass. Check the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, the clarity of the lines, and the depth of the violet color. A stamp that looks fresh, sharp, and evenly printed is far more desirable than one that's faded or smudged. You can also compare your stamp to listings in well-known stamp catalogs like the Scott catalog or Stanley Gibbons. Today, collectors continue to chase the finest examples of the 3-cent Lincoln stamp, not just for its potential value, but for its beauty and historical importance. It's a reminder of an era when every letter carried a touch of craftsmanship, when even something as small as a postage stamp honored one of America's greatest leaders.
Next up, the stunning purple postage stamp you're looking at is the famous United States 3-cent Liberty stamp, featuring the powerful image of the Statue of Liberty proudly holding her torch high, and the words, "In God We Trust," curved above her. This small piece of paper carries a deep sense of American pride, freedom, and history. It was first issued in the year 1954 as part of the Liberty series, which celebrated some of the greatest symbols and figures of the United States. The stamp was printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in a rich shade of purple ink that stood out beautifully on envelopes and letters during the 1950s and early 1960s. It was originally meant for regular first-class postage at the time, when mailing a letter only cost 3 cents. But what started as a simple piece of daily mail has now become a prized collectible in the world of philately. Today, the 3-cent Liberty stamp continues to attract stamp lovers and collectors across the globe because of its design, its historical connection, and its incredible legacy in the postal system. The Statue of Liberty itself was chosen for this design to symbolize freedom, democracy, and the welcoming spirit of America. The details on this stamp, the bold lettering, the radiant torch, and the deep engraved lines make it one of the most artistically admired stamps of its time. When it comes to the market value, prices for this stamp can vary widely depending on its condition, rarity, and specific printing features. A used version of this stamp, one that's been postmarked and circulated, might sell today for about $10,000 to $19,000 depending on clarity and cancellation marks. However, a mint condition example, that is, one that has never been used and still has its original gum on the back, can be worth anywhere from $19,000 to $25,000 for standard issues. But here's where it gets even more exciting. There are special varieties and printing errors of this stamp that have been known to sell for hundreds of dollars. In particular, plate number blocks, rare perforation differences, and misprints have made certain examples of the stamp worth as much as $50,000 to even $59,000 among serious collectors. Some auction records have even shown perfectly centered graded specimens reaching $29,000 in value due to their rarity and exceptional preservation. Imagine that, a 3-cent stamp from the 1950s now valued at over $1,000. That's the beauty of collecting old world stamps. They may look ordinary, but their stories, their artwork, and their historical context make them treasures of another time. The 3-cent Liberty stamp reminds us of an era when letters were personal, when mail carried emotion, and when every postage stamp represented a connection across distances. So if you happen to find this purple gem tucked away in an old album, a family collection, or inside a forgotten envelope, don't overlook it. Take a closer look under proper light. Check the perforations, the centering, and whether the gum is original, because that tiny detail could turn a few cents into hundreds of dollars. Collectors around the world still hunt for pristine Liberty stamps because of their timeless symbolism and beauty. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced philatelist, adding this stamp to your collection is like owning a miniature monument of freedom. This is Stamps Old World UK, where we bring the hidden stories and secret values of classic stamps to life. If you enjoy discovering the history, beauty, and true worth of vintage stamps, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with others who love these forgotten treasures. Join us on our journey through the fascinating world of philately, where even a 3-cent Liberty stamp can carry a story worth thousands of dollars.